What I just said was, I want to share with you a life lesson that really had a huge impact and what led to this award this evening. Also, I want to tell you that the place of my biggest challenge is always the source of my greatest strength. Both my parents are deaf mutes, and I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. And my father was born in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, and he always hated the fact that because he was deaf, people thought he was dumb. In the deaf world, they have these events where you got about 300 deaf mutes. And this was a bowling tournament, and that's how my mom and dad met. And then a year later, they had me, Jose Feliciano Jr. And I asked my mother, you know, after a while, I said, how did you know when I was crying at night? I mean, just imagine you got two deaf people, and you had a baby that speaks. And she said, well, when you were a baby, I would always, when you would sleep at night, I would put the baby right here, and when babies cry, they kick. And that's how she knew how to take care of me at that time. So communication was always a way of life, because when I became 5 and 6 years old, I had to start interpreting for my parents. A year later, we sold everything we've got. We loaded up on Port Authority at 42nd Street, got on Trailways bus, sold everything, had 3 boxes to our name. I've got Jeff at 5 years old, my sister is 3, my brother was 12 at the time, I was 14, and my mom and dad, we load up on Trailways bus and we go to Jacksonville, Texas. Talking to strangers was a way of life for me. And as I was in Washington, D.C., there was and we have to watch what we say to our kids, because this one guy on the radio said, you know, I've dropped off my 9-year-old daughter, and I told her, I said, if I'm not around, I don't want you to talk to any strangers. And she said, Dad, if I don't talk to strangers, how am I going to ever meet new people? When I became 11 or 12 was the first time in my life I got embarrassed to my parents. I'm at a parent-teacher conference, and we've got Miss Horn sitting up front, and I've got Bobby over here with his mom and dad. I've got Joe over here with his mom and dad, and Becky over here with her mom and dad, and I've got my mom and my dad, and it's me. I'm 11, 12 years old. And the teacher's sitting there going over the agenda, going over the expectations, going over the things that are laid out for the year and what parents need to do. You know, one of those parent-teacher conferences. My dad goes, Dad, I'll tell you, here I am trying to be cool, didn't want to get the attention, okay? Dad goes, tell me, Dad, I'll tell you here in just a little bit. I'll tell you after we leave. Dad, I'll tell you just a minute. He goes, and Miss Horn up front goes, Jose, would you mind sharing with me what your mom and dad are saying? Now I got the whole class looking at me. And I'm going, Miss Horn, my dad said he wants to know what you're saying, and he also said stop worrying about what everybody else thinks, just be. I don't know what that means. 15 years old, I got to meet people pretty quick. I got lettered in baseball, lettered in football, got on a baseball team, got on a football team. Got to meet people real fast. And then there was another event. There was a group of about 300 people. We was at the high school cafeteria. We were all, the coaches up there up front. And Dad could tell I was a little embarrassed and trying to tone down. And as he's going over the agenda, the same thing happened. And he goes, Dad, I'll tell you in just a minute. Dad, I'll tell you. There it is again. Stop worrying about what everybody else is thinking, just be. Stop worrying about what everybody else is thinking, just be. Graduation day. You remember the time where you grabbed my hat, I threw it up in the air. As soon as the hat hit the ground, I went, what the hell am I going to do now? And so a week later after that, I go to this place. Murphy, you remember the lighted dance floors, those discotheques, you know, the Staying Alive and, you know, all that? Y'all remember that? And so I'm going over there, and I'm at this club, and we got 4 or 5 of us guys, and I look over, and there's a whole group of ladies, good-looking ladies over here, and I said, who are they? Well, those are the Apache Bells of Tyler Junior College. Well, hell, I'm going to Tyler Junior College. And so that's my first goal. If somebody didn't know somebody, I always wanted to get everybody involved as a group, because I love having a good time. And I got that gift from my dad, and what I noticed 6 months later, this guy says, you ever thought about running for president of fraternity? I said, president of fraternity? I said, no way, Jose, that ain't happening. I ended up running for the fraternity. It's the biggest turning point of my life. I remember it today. So here I was on the fraternity. I even came up with these business cards, you know those rush parties where we all used to go to, those of you that's in the fraternity. I even had the dates of all the parties. And I actually got exposed to my first supply and demand. I would have a party and I'd have all the Apache Bells there. You got the guys, you can recruit them right and left. You know, supply and demand. Just picture this. You got Jose Feliciano over here, dead broke. $600 Chevy Impala. Working 30 hours a week at Montgomery Ward's. Taking care of a guardian of little brother and little sister. Parents of deaf mutes, had to interpret for them. What you got over here is you got Troy Phillips. I don't know if you ever heard of Highland Park in Dallas, you know, one of the wealthiest places. 4-car garage, gardener, butler, didn't have to work. Had 3, everything you could possibly dream. You remember those 280 ZXs in 79 and 81? He had one of those, just what you wanted to have. So here we are, he's all those things. And I said, there's no way I can win. And then when they announced, the next president of the fraternity is Sigma Phi Epsilon 1982 is Jose Feliciano. I couldn't believe it. My heart, I was so happy. And at that moment, it's what my dad said. It just hit me like a brick. Stop worrying about what everybody else thinks, just be. I won because I was being Jose. And what I had was love, family, friendships. And I didn't realize that at the time. Just be is the lesson. At that moment, in that point in time, it turns out that the parents who I was embarrassed about, that because they were different, because they were deaf, turned out to be the parents that taught me the biggest life lesson of all. It's just be. It's just be. Just be is the lesson. It's the most important lesson in my life is just be. Just be the best you can be. My mom and dad are still living today. I love them dearly. And to watch deaf parents face the world like they do, and they don't even think twice, is the most unbelievable thing. I have more respect for them than anything in the world. But if you'd asked me, Jose Feliciano, from New York, moving to Tyler, Texas, been where we're at today, looking at the future logically, I'd have told you, no way, Jose, it can't happen. Just be, that evolved to be, do, have, allowed me to dream and put those doubts behind me. How many times do you not take a risk or go down a certain path because we're worried about what someone else is thinking? How many of you are actually doing what you really want to do or being who you really want to be, but you're not doing it because you're worried about what someone else is thinking? Being is the first thing. What do you want your company to be like? Do the things you need to do. You'll have the things you want to have. Stop worrying about what other people think. Just be. And my challenge to you is I want you to take that with you. And so what I say, everybody do this, just be. I got to explain everything to Michael Gerber. He got it. He knew what I'm talking about, because a lot of coaching, training, consulting firms are Monday morning quarterbacks telling you how it should be done, but they never did it. What we're going to be doing is building the world of tomorrow today by forming a company called the 2-Hour House. By teaching people how to work from the back to the front. Begin with the end in mind and work it backwards. Each one of you got an impossible. Every one of you, whether it's doubling your production, whether it's $1 million, $300,000, whatever the impossible is in your life. Whether it's your life or your business life, it's your impossible. We're going to teach people how to work from the back to the front. What we'll end up doing is creating more and breaking rules and breaking records all the time. That's what it's about. Breaking rules, breaking records all the time. That will be the new American standard, is building impossibles.